There you go.
We are live. So I thought we'd do this podcast live today. The others have been, when this is our fourth one now.
Yeah, I suppose technically it is.
Second. This is going to be our second Euro one as well.
Yeah.
Well, half Euro update, that sort of thing.
I mean, I suppose it's technically four if you include the one that we lost. This will only be the third update.
But yeah, okay.
Well, we know what your math skills are like anyway.
We're not going to go into that.
It is live, mate. Anything.
Do I look straight on to you, or we're a bit slanted? Or is it me?
I think
it's me. It was me. I was like,
this from the person who decided to do their hair before this went live because vanity.
Yeah. But yes, this is our. I'm still going that way. Technically, our fourth upload now, and we have gone live. So just a few things to start with. I'm getting very scared now.
Yeah. How is that going, by the way? You know these statements that you make that were, you think would be a really good idea at the time, and I'm going to get Gareth Southgate tattooed if England win.
I'm getting very scared.
I got very panicked. I am not gonna lie, I got a very panicked phone call yesterday going, why did I do this? I shouldn't have done that.
I was very drunk though as well.
Yes, you were, but still.
But yes, there is potentially this tattoo of Gareth Southgate.
It will come live on here, by the way. I am gonna broadcast it live. You have no choice in this matter. It's gonna be here for everyone to see.
So yes,
immortalise that.
And I've had one tattoo done, which was that big, when I was 18, and that was in Turkey, and I didn't feel anything. But I know
you were probably very drunk.
Yeah.
And also, if it's only about that big, it's like a line.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm really going to feel it when they start drawing his face on my skin. It's not going to happen though. Not going to happen, because if we get past Holland.
Although you want to talk about these things, right? So you think that before Euro 2020, the most successful thing we had was 96, and the potential order of the way this works, right? So of all the teams that we played in that tournament, list them out. Who did we play?
Where we got to the final?
Well, we got to the semi-final. Euro 96 at home. The teams. List out the teams that we played.
Oh my God, I can't remember that far back.
Switzerland in the first game. What was the score? 1-1. What was the score last night? 1-1. All right, yeah, we won in penalties. We played Scotland.
Yeah.
Then who did we play?
Holland.
Yeah. Who are we playing next?
Yeah.
Ooh. And then who did we play then in the knockout rounds of Euro 96? Who was the first team that we played? Spain. What was the result of that? We won on penalties.
Yeah, but we're not going to
Switzerland, Holland, potentially Spain.
Yes.
It's a bit coincidental.
I still don't think I'm going to get the tattoo, because I think
if we end up beating Holland by like 4 goals, I'm not being funny, it's just weird.
Because I'll be supporting Spain in the final.
Also, there'll be a repeat of the Women's World Cup final, England and Spain.
Yeah, it will be.
So
where Spain beat them. So
yeah, they did.
Viva España. I'm just putting it out. I don't care if anyone backlashes me for that. I'll be supporting Spain. I don't want his face on me.
Well, don't make wild, outlandish statements.
Because at the time, it was, and the right thing to do. Well, not the right thing to do, but but yes, I could potentially be getting Southgate's face on my skin.
Yeah.
But I can choose. I get to choose how big it is, though. So
it's got to be.
It will be seeable.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And you will be able to see it's Southgate, and you'll be able to see what it says, and that I was wrong.
Southgate's God, I was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it will. You'll see it happen. So that's potentially what could be happening to me. I could be getting a tattoo of Southgate. But in other news, Burnley have appointed Scott Parker.
Yes, they have.
As their new manager.
Yes.
What do we think?
Well, I'll wait and see if it all ends in tears like his last 2 jobs in the English football pyramid. Trashed the owners at Fulham, and he trashed the owners at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
and then had what 3 months in Belgium
Belgium did awful.
and did absolutely awful. I think he's a good manager, and I think tactically, he makes some pretty. The way he sets his teams up and the way that he wants to play football, I think will suit the continuation of what Vincent Kompany has done, because they've got very similar kind of footballing philosophies. It's whether he can deal with managing upwards and dealing with that expectations that they are after the instant return.
Yeah,
kind of a little bit of discussed on the one on podcast the other day. They've come down, they've got the Premier League money, they can go out and get some, they can go and afford some bigger players. It's how Scott Parker's going to deal with those expectations and how he handles himself in the media if they have one or two bad results.
Yeah,
because like when Bournemouth, he took Bournemouth up, and then they got smashed 9-1 by Liverpool, and then he went in an interview and trashed the entire hierarchy of the football club by saying they didn't back him when they spent nearly £60 million in the transfer window and brought in 7 players.
Yeah, and that's
so I feel like his temperament still leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, and that's something you don't do. You don't go and trash your board on.
You don't trash your employers in a public forum.
National TV, like Match of the Day, that it was seen on, and obviously his interviews after. But yeah, I think Burnley are going to want an instant return back. But I think Scott Parker will do it. He get him straight back up, because he's still got. No one's really been sold from Burnley yet.
No, then if they keep hold of their goalkeeper, they'll do. That will do them absolute wonders. But they're not under pressure to sell. But the expectation is there.
There's players that are going to want to leave.
Yeah, I think they will finish top. I can't see why they wouldn't. It's a safe choice. It's a right choice. It's just how he deals with that expectation. If it starts to not go their way, you're going to lose 10 games in the Championship. That's pretty much normal for any team that goes up. It's whether they come in little and often, or whether it comes in a bunch. Like they maybe lose 3 or 4 in a row. Yeah. Or they go 6 games without a win, for example. Couple of draws, a few draws, few defeats, and just how he deals with that change in the stadium. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we will wait and see how he does, and obviously we'll have our say on it further into the season when it all kicks off. But also pre-season started now, so friendlies going, and actually there is one thing I want to say, because it's a team we're going to go and see on the first day of the season. Yeah, and that is QPR. They got smashed 4-0 by Farnham Town yesterday. Yeah, but it's not uncommon for Championship clubs to get smashed by lower league teams in friendlies, because you think at this point of the season, right at the pre-season, they don't risk a lot of their first teamers. It's a combination of youth, trialists. But that is still a hefty. It's still a heavy defeat, but I wouldn't read anything into it. I really wouldn't. Do you know, I might have to change my relegation teams. Really? Yeah. You did stir up enough controversy last week with that, no? No, I might have to take Plymouth out, put QPR in, still have Bristol City going. No, please no. No, if it comes to it, I have to change. It will be I change Bristol City for QPR, because QPR were shocking last season and they had a good run at the end, but can't always do it every season. No, they've been one of these teams over the last 4 seasons. They got relegated from the Premier League, sat around the playoffs for a great period of time. Had a start to the season where at one point they were top, and they almost did the reverse of Forest and went top to relegation in about 6 months. They absolutely like the wheels just fell off the train altogether. Yeah, It's like it was absolutely outrageous, and they've not really been able to recover it since. They've been sitting around kind of the bottom 8. Yeah, the last few seasons. Because I was going to try and go to QPR Millwall last season. You've got to get in there for a big derby like that. But unless you're a season ticket holder for that game, you can't get in. No. The police don't allow it. No. So yeah, but hopefully this season, try and if some people might, I know someone that's a QPR fan that I might butter up and ask for
a ticket when it comes to that game.
Yeah, my old store manager is a QPR, was a QPR season ticket holder for a while.
So I might see what happens there.
Yeah. But on news a little bit closer to home, would you make Crawley Town doing a complete 180 and bringing back Mr. Preston as their chairman and CEO after he stepped away after the playoff win?
I mean, with Crawley, you got to think, do they know what they're doing? Because why do you go and get rid of? They literally got rid of their playoff winning team.
I think all 22 players in the team from last season are now gone, aren't they?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
After the miraculous recovery, and we talked about momentum and all that positive momentum and that goodwill around the club and what they've done, and the champagne hadn't even gone warm and they were already started releasing players left and right.
Yeah,
but is that a coincidence by the fact that Preston left as chairman and CEO straight after the playoff final?
Well,
and then they've released all the squad, and now he's decided to come back. Do you think he's come? You read the press release, and it's like he's very much like it says all the right things. It was clear I still had passion for the club, and we still had a lot to do. But do you think it's because he's looked at that from the outside, going, all that money that I've put in, we've been promoted, and now all of a sudden, you've dropped, for all intents and purposes, dropped a nuclear bomb on it?
And I don't think it's not the manager's got room; it's the board.
Yeah, I don't think this. I don't.
And
let's face it. More than game now, managers have less and less say in what goes on outside of the training pitch and the out the weekend. They have less say of what goes on in the inner workings of the clubs, in the ingoings and outgoings.
Yeah, and you can't tell me that all these players that come in are players that managers have gone, I want that one, I want him. No, it's the board that have stuck their nose in and gone, well, we're signing him, and him. Because
there's been no word with it. There's been no word that they've got profit. They've got financial issues that meant that they're not going to hit the sustainability. There's been no reports of that coming out anywhere that I've seen.
No, exactly that. It's where you say Crawley getting relegated, you can probably be spot on with that, and I would even put money on it. They're going to go down.
Yeah, it's a fairly safe bet at this point.
Yeah, they're going to go down.
It's just, you know how we say like one decision can affect a football club for years. I just fear that this decision now to completely gut the team at this point.
Yeah,
he's not just going to affect them this season, but it wouldn't surprise me if they get relegated this season and they go straight down the following season into the non-league pyramid.
Could you imagine if that happened? That would be a shock.
Would it though?
I mean, for them to get relegated from League One, then go straight down again.
I mean, there aren't many teams that have done it, but it's not unheard of.
No,
the way that the team has been torn
chopped. Yeah, and then I think then the board would then be like, "Oh, we're going to sell them now." This isn't what we've got in for.
I just fear this is going to have massive implications on the club for years.
Yeah,
when it's supposed to have been the best time for the club in the last 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, so who are we talking? Are we talking about Crawley Town? So we're live, so we're going to get comments coming. But I think Crawley are really, really going to struggle. And yeah, you could be right. Relegation, I think, is for them this season.
Yeah, I remember going to watch them when I was like 7 or 8 when they first opened. Broadfield Stadium as it was then, Checkatrade is now. But they were playing non-league football, and it took a long time to get out of the non-league system.
Yeah,
and I just fear the club is going to go backwards.
Because you're old enough to remember that, aren't you?
Yes. Thanks for the old jive. Thanks for that.
But yeah, I mean, I only really started going to watch Crawley last season because my brother, who lives there, when he got me tickets to games. But big up, someone knows you that's watching this.
I know, and I can't spell my name either, which is very impressive.
Yeah. But so we think
that
Crawley going down, too many changes, too many players sold, and not enough time for them to gel. Hello. So it's good doing this live. Get everyone come in, watching, comment, ask us questions. We'll answer about football though, nothing else. Right, so Euros. How do we feel it's going, or the tournament has been so far?
Well, if you took the third round of group games, for example, it was, there was a lot of surprise there. Nobody foresaw Austria topping their group. And I don't think anybody foresee Turkey doing as well as they have done, to be fair. I know they obviously got beat last night, but most of their games have been pretty decent to watch. And their goalkeeper currently owns save of the tournament. Outrageous save at the end of the Austria game.
Yeah.
How we say that, I have no idea. But other than, I think most of the knockout games have been kind of what we expected. The majority of them have gone to extra time. Nobody wants to take the risks. I didn't see Germany losing to Spain, to be fair.
I tipped Germany to win the whole thing.
Yeah,
I was wrong.
Sitting on home soil, but even like France, Portugal was a complete dead of a game. I think this is it now for Ronaldo. I think it's shown that.
Yeah.
And we look interested. It'd be interesting to see what we do with the semi-finals.
Yeah, I think one of the moments of the tournament, and Mike knows how much I disrespect the man now, is Ronaldo crying when he missed that penalty and he burst into tears. Not even his teammates huddled round him, and
that was quite telling, wasn't it?
Well, it's because they've had enough. Because you look at Ronaldo, and he's just a prima donna. He just throws his toys at the pram if it doesn't go right. Or
the game against France was crying out for Jota to come on and really stretch that French back line, give them something to think about, kind of over the top. Ronaldo wasn't getting it done. You saw how different they were in the World Cup when they benched Ronaldo. When the guys scored a hat trick, they played better. It looked more fluent. It just kind of felt like they'd accepted they were going to try and go through on penalties.
Yeah.
Then João Felix's penalty really wasn't particularly, but I think if it hadn't hit the post and the keeper would have saved it anyway, it wasn't a good penalty. He telegraphed where he was going.
Yeah.
It really wasn't particularly an exciting game, as a lot of them can be at this point when you go into the last 16.
I mean, the game last night was fun. Turkey, Holland.
Yeah, but
really
every game I've watched of Turkey has been an exciting, open game right from the start. Against Georgia, the game against Austria, the game against Holland. I think Turkey's naivety a little bit showed up towards the end. They went chasing the second goal.
Yeah,
and didn't account for the Dutch threat out of either wing.
Yeah, I can agree that.
But still, it was still fun to watch, and they've been involved in probably the games of the tournament so far.
Yeah. But yeah, I think if you looked at Turkey last night, they went 1-up. They were still putting pressure on Holland, but I think it was the sort of thing of they had the 1-0, so they were just settling for that.
Yeah.
And then in the last 20 minutes, the Netherlands came into their own.
Yeah, they didn't react well to the Dutch substitutions.
And started playing. You
could see the momentum was heading to the Dutch. Turkey couldn't get out there half for a period of time, and then I don't think they did enough to try and use the pace that they had on the pitch there, Turkey, to try and run through the counter, run through the transitions.
Yeah,
they very much just allowed the Dutch to kind of have the ball and didn't make use of their of what they'd done throughout the tournament. They run Austria a lot like that by allowing Austria to have the ball around the halfway line. But as soon as they came in past the kind of the centre circle, they were pressing, and then they were looking to hit quick transitions over the top, which they just, for some reason, they just didn't do it last night.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think Wednesday night is semi-final time for England and Holland. It's going to be a good game, but England can't keep starting like they do.
I mean, it was a better performance yesterday compared to what we've seen in the previous four games, but they showed a bit more of an attacking intent, but again went behind because of something silly.
but they only started finding that attacking when they made the changes. Like the real, they brought on those 3 players, and it was like, right.
But even then, we still managed to screw up making the substitution, because at one point Bellingham thought he was coming off, and I thought he was going to absolutely have a hissy fit.
Yeah, that's the thing with Bellingham. He's got to remember he's 21 years old.
Yeah, and he looked absolutely spent.
Yeah, he's not this. He's a big world-class player.
He probably has goal of the tournament right now without a head kick.
But you're not bigger than the manager, and you're not bigger than the national team.
But do you think that shows that Southgate's starting to lose the dressing room?
Oh, he lost the dressing room after the second game of the tournament. The dressing room's just doing it for the players are just doing it for the fans now. They're not doing it for Southgate.
I don't know. The way they've been playing.
The way we've been playing, no. But then it goes to show you bring on Ivan Toney.
Yeah, Kane, I think, needs to.
Kane should not start next game. Should not start.
I personally, with the way that the Dutch operate, I think Tony's physicality will give us a different dimension in that game. Yeah. I mean, I was surprised he took him off. But does it look like we were playing for penalties?
We were playing for penalties
towards the. I thought for the first 5 minutes of extra time, I thought we showed a bit of intent, like we were going to go and try and go after the game.
Yeah.
But when it was fairly obvious that Switzerland weren't going to really try and press us, it very much went into the pattern of both teams are going to settle for penalties.
Yeah.
Kind of like Germany, Spain did until the German defence decided to leave the Spanish striker completely unmarked in the 6-yard box with nobody around him for absolute yards. So I just pray that the semi-finals don't go the same way, because I kind of have concerns that Spain and France will just literally pass the ball around between each other and play penalties.
Yeah, I hope they don't, because that should be France-Spain should be a really entertaining.
On paper it should be, but Portugal-France should also have been quite entertaining, and France just camped at the edge of their own 18-yard. Although as much as I didn't see the game because I was at work, but having watched the highlights and stats and read about it, they literally let Portugal have all of the ball, because they kind of was like, well, Portugal can't do much to hurt us, which they weren't really wrong, to be fair, with based the way that Portugal set up. And Roberto Martinez is still a strange choice for an international manager. He failed at Belgium with their golden generation, then gone to Portugal and done pretty much the same thing. But France didn't really, even trying to hit Portugal on the counter and transitions, they didn't really seem that interested in doing it. It was very much like, well, we might be able to nick a goal. Portugal aren't going to hurt us, so we're not worried about that.
No.
So I don't know if they were trying to exploit the age of their back four. Obviously, Pepe's like 41 years old and whatnot. I was hoping he would retire maybe towards a later point of the game where they could just nick one in the last 15 minutes. But by all accounts, it didn't really seem to do it.
Yeah, that comes to a point of mine actually about Pepe.
You're not getting his tally now, are you? Because
no.
He's 40 years old.
No. So obviously Pepe's 41.
Yeah.
And he's been the oldest player in the Euros to play at that age.
Yeah.
But there has been someone older than him to play in a major international tournament, and that was in the World Cup.
Yeah,
I had a look last night actually, because someone said it to me at the pub, and they were like, Pepe's not, for a major tournament, not the oldest. And the oldest is Essam El Hadri for Egypt, who's 43 years old.
I thought you were going to say Roger Miller at Cameroon. He was pretty young.
No, he's 43 years old when Egypt played in the World Cup.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. And it brings me to think, which we'll have a look at, is can we find the oldest player in the EFL for next season?
There'll be.
Yeah. So, yeah, see? See? So that's one to, or if anyone that's watching and wants to put it in the comments, wants to look it up and let us know, we're taking from there. He's gonna have a look now.
I'm sure. Interesting.
So yes, you want the oldest player from the Championship to League Two.
Yeah, well, I know what the Football League is. Thank you.
So I don't think you're going to find it because.
Are you talking about in the eldest player in Football League history?
No, who they think it would be, who it was last season. Don't think you're going to find it.
Well, I can tell you the oldest player recorded oldest player is, but in history.
Well, that's the Japanese guy.
No,
57. Oh, Football League. Go then. Who is it in?
The oldest player to play in the Football League is John Burridge at 43 years, 5 months and 11 days. He was a goalkeeper in Manchester City.
Wow.
Played in a 3-2 loss to QPR. There you go.
And I've just absolutely slated QPR.
Yeah, you have. I know.
They seem to be bringing their name up a lot, don't they?
Yeah, they do, to be fair.
But it's just talking about it in the pub last night, and it was like, ooh, who's the oldest player? Pepe for this. And then for the World Cup, I looked up and it was Al Hadri for Egypt. So, Football League, though, for this season, I think it's going to be quite hard to find.
Yeah, it's going to.
We're going to have to wait.
I'll come back to everybody on that one.
I think if we give it about 3 weeks for it all to get started, and then we'll have a look and come back.
What you want to do is the oldest player in the confirmed squad.
Yeah,
because teams will have to release their final squad number, the final squad list, on 1st of September. So we'll do it based at that point.
Yeah, sounds.
And then we'll just keep a tally throughout each one as how many games this dude's played.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll just do a little bit of trivia.
We get a little tally chart going, and it'd be the oldest and how many minutes or goals or assists they've done.
Well, if it's goalkeeper, it'll be how many minutes, won't it?
Yeah, and how many clean sheets.
True.
But
that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Tournament-wise for the Euros, Spain going to win it.
That's only because you don't want England to win it.
Exactly.
And to be fair, if to do the predictions right now, I would say Spain over France.
Yeah. Again, Mbappe.
Well, Austria proved to everybody how to handle France.
Yeah.
Follow that blueprint that Austria did, and you will beat France.
Yeah.
Because they actually controlled through the midfield, and Mbappe was very, 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 very quiet. And as I've said before, they don't really offer France. If you keep Mbappe quiet, they don't really offer much else on the other side. Ousmane Dembele is far too inconsistent.
Yeah.
They use Griezmann more of a deep-lying playmaker than an out-and-out forward player now, due to his age and his drop in pace.
Yeah.
And they've only going to go Giroud. Really, France are not a crossing team.
No.
They're not a team that puts lots of balls in the box, which is what his strength is. So you keep Mbappe quiet, and it follows through from the rest. So I can't really look past Spain. Although they now have run into the problem of Morata not scoring goals.
That was always going to happen, though.
Yeah,
Morata not scoring goals. It's a Morata thing.
Starts off strong and then
and then
dips away.
I
hope it's not penalties, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was penalties.
It would be a rubbish way. What, the final?
No, France. Spain.
Yeah, it'd be a rubbish way to end the semis if it ends on penalties, and it'd be an awful way to end a cup final on penalties.
It does happen more often than not.
It does, yeah.
All right, the World Cup was on penalties, but at least that was an entertaining 3-3 game where both teams were going for it.
Exactly.
Rather than, as what tends to happen, especially with European teams when they play each other, when you get further down the line, they tend to be overtly cautious and maybe look for penalties.
Yeah.
Especially if the game is tied in 90 minutes, that European teams don't tend to try and press the issue in extra time.
No, and you see it a lot. But we'll wait and see. We could both be wrong. It'd be really entertaining. It could be a 5-4.
Yeah.
And in England,
I mean, I'd like to be wrong, and for it to be an entertaining game, but history kind of said otherwise, really.
And an England game could be England actually turn up and win 3-0. It's football. You can't say it's not going to.
No, and what's your prediction for the England Holland game? Or Netherlands, we should call it Netherlands now.
I reckon England will do it, but it will be. It ain't going to be a high-scoring game. 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
It's not gonna be a high-scoring.
we've not been involved in a high-scoring game in a while, have we? Let's face it.
No, not at all. So yeah, it's going to be 2-1 England. Hopefully, Kane's going to start, but I don't want him to. I'd rather have Ivan Toney
I
starting.
can see it being 2-1 after extra time. The games at the moment just seem to follow a pattern where we go behind.
Yeah.
Score a good quality goal to equalise, and then I think we'll nick it in extra time.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point.
It's just whether do you think Southgate's going to stick with this 3-4-3?
Of course he is. Well, no, but I think he matches,
especially now that Luke Shaw is back, and Luke Shaw played a lot of minutes last night, and he does offer us a lot more balance, and we can push Saka back into playing. I don't have an issue with inverted wingers as long as you only have one inverted winger. When you have two, it just makes the pitch so incredibly narrow.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that watching England last night did show, that when we have a natural and an inverted, it does, that crossfield ball is always on.
Yeah.
Because teams will tend to tuck in against the inverted winger, especially if it's someone like a Saka, who they know is dangerous coming inside and then coming across like he did for his goal.
Yeah.
And because it effectively, you then end up with a back four or a back five that sits more towards the edge corner of the 18-yard box and goes all the way across, rather than being able to leave one fullback there, one fullback way out on either side, and then you got your two centre backs and defensive midfield in the middle.
Yeah.
But with Shaw being back, does he go back to a back four?
Yeah, of course he will, because he wants to fit Shaw in. So it will be a back four. But if he does a back four, I want to see the back four as Shaw, Trent, Stones, and I think the Palace defender is back.
Yeah, he'll be back. Gay will be back. He's been England's player as well.
So that
outside
will be
of probably Bellingham's goals.
That will be the back four.
Did you play Trent as a right back though?
That's where he plays.
If we play as a back four, it'll be Kyle Walker because of his pace.
Oh, Walker. I thought about Walker.
So if it's a back four, it will be Shaw, Gahey, Stones, Walker. That'll be the back four. If he plays as a kind of a 3-4-3, then the back three will go Gahey, Stones, and Walker, with Shaw as the left wing back and Trent right wing back.
Yeah.
And then you'd have Rice and Bellingham kind of central midfield. And then I would like to see him play Palmer and Saka either side of Kane.
It's never going to happen. I mean, that's what we'd like to see, but you know that he's not going to start Palmer, the most in-form player for Chelsea last season. And his attacking intent is so much more. And yeah, Foden was able to find space between the lines yesterday and ping the ball across. But I just feel running at the Dutch with pace keeps their back four honest, because Van Dijk's lost a yard of pace. They're not exactly blessed with great defenders, and you've got to give someone to worry Van de Ven. Yeah.
This is the problem, because Kane on his own, Van de Ven will beat that up all day long. So you need to draw his attention wide to the pace, because anybody with pace, that's where Van de Ven's going. You've seen that in the Premier League watching Spurs. His recovery pace is what gets him out of trouble, because he's not the quickest or the sharpest with the ball at his feet.
No.
And he does have a tendency to fall asleep. So his pace is what gets him out of trouble a lot. So if you're going Van de Ven and Kane 1-to-1, it's not a battle where Kane's going to win. He'll hold it up physically against Van Dijk. You're then looking for the two wingers to go either side of him, and that will draw Van de Ven's attention, which then opens up space for Bellingham coming into from midfield to make that into a front four.
Yeah.
And that creates the overload either side.
But you could see yesterday what England were trying to do against Switzerland. They were trying to bring him into their half, and then hit the long ball. But it wasn't working, because for me, this tournament, and he does it every game he plays for England. Kane just not stay up front.
No, there was a couple of times where you could see Foden dropped in to create the space between the lines between the midfield and the like just between the gaps between the Swiss midfield where they were playing the 5-4. But then Kane's literally next to him.
Yeah. And it's
Foden's turned around and he's on the half turn and he's looking for an out ball and Kane is two or three yards away from him. So he pinged one ball, I think, right out to Saka at one point, but then Saka was isolated because he had nobody else with him.
Yeah,
need to just push that still further up the field. Our starting position was better, and yes, the Swiss had a lot less space to operate in, but the goal came from us giving the ball away in midfield, and then there was so many holes everywhere,
and
it evaded all three members of the back three.
Yeah,
went through Conster's legs. Stones swiped a leg at it, and then Walker couldn't get the other side.
Yeah, and I was in a pub full of England fans, and Switzerland scored, and I went, Switzerland deserve it. They deserve to win, because yet again we are putting a terrible performance, and I think
at least you can see more of an idea of what we were trying to do this time.
There's an idea of what we're trying to do, and then it's doing it.
Yeah,
and Southgate for some reason doesn't like attacking football.
I don't understand if you're going to do a 3-4-3, which is effectively out of possession, in possession. How the Swiss lined up, out of possession, it was more of a 5-4-1.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why, if we've gone to a four in midfield to get the width, why then the two front players behind Kane are then narrow? That takes away the whole point of having the width. You've still got no overlap if you've got Foden and Bellingham coming narrow. When the Swiss were transitioning without the ball, their front players the two outside players were further ahead than the central striker. So they were able to stretch the pitch, and then when they're playing the ball into the middle, and he could turn either side, it just Bolo was running around. We was all over the place.
Yeah,
and we were still. I still feel up top. We were still too narrow.
Yeah, because
there was no overlap. There was no overload. There was nothing to entice the Swiss defence forward.
No.
So if we're gonna stay with the 4-3, with the 3-4-3, then play it wider, and then have Saka and Palmer, because we looked better up front when Saka went to inverted and you had Palmer out there running the channels.
Yeah, but yes, I think we both agree. We can see if Spain get through, Spain winning it.
Yeah, I remember saying a few years ago that I thought the World Cup was one tournament too early for them, and the Euros would be their tournament.
Yeah,
I feel like this is it's probably it. It's going to be. I think it's Spain.
Spain's year.
Now that the Germans are out.
Yeah, Spain's year. But on other notes, so I said last podcast that I may be looking at managing a team.
Oh yes.
So I've dropped a couple of emails.
I did, yes, you did mention that.
But I haven't heard anything back. So I've sent them a tweet and said, look, I've sent 2 emails. I feel that looking at where they finished last season, second from bottom.
I mean, you certainly can't do any worse, can you?
Conceding 102 goals.
I mean,
exactly.
I mean, still not the record for my season.
No. So I've dropped them an email and said, look, I think I could really bring something to the team and would love the chance.
Does that not come across as a bit needy?
No. Not at all. Or take me on as a player. You'll get 45 minutes out of me each game.
45 seconds, maybe.
As a solid centre back. But
until someone nudges you in the back, and your back gives out.
Yeah, super disc.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it'd be really, really good next season if something like that could happen.
I mean, it will make for an interesting,
content-wise, a day in the life of a manager.
I mean, yeah, content-wise, it would be amazing. But
really
you're
good.
Doing it because you're not doing it for content.
I'm not doing it for content. I'm doing it because it's something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I've said ever since I got involved in this, if the opportunity comes along from even on this to doing something like that,
yeah,
then
just being involved in the world of football, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the love of management as well of a football team. Because I wasn't the greatest player, but I made the best manager. Just got my record on Football Manager. It says it all really over the years. And you can't go all that because people have got jobs.
I'm fairly certain all the online games we played, I've better than you still.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Yeah, but I left and went to Crawley and smashed it.
Yeah, still better than you. Can do transfers better than me on that game, but everything else.
I'm a transfer god.
Everything
When
else
it comes to that. But yeah, so that's hopefully a thing that could happen next season. Also been looking for the season ahead of trying to work out games and where to go. And what I find really interesting, I think is good, is I looked at Scotland today, and I looked at Aberdeen.
So yeah,
and I even said,
because let's face it, getting tickets to Rangers as well is going to be nigh on
yeah.
impossibility.
So I thought I'd rather go to what I'd say is probably the third best club in Scotland.
I think that
you say Aberdeen.
Recent history would say they're probably not necessarily the third, but I'd say they're the third biggest.
Yeah.
In terms of like history and credentials and legacy and that.
You got to look at Hearts.
I'd say Aberdeen are bigger than Hearts.
Oh,
bearing in mind Aberdeen had European success under
Ferguson
under Sir Alex before he come to United. I would say they're the third biggest.
Yeah, but I looked at price-wise today, and it's a shock. I know it's Scotland, it's the Scotland Premiership, but it's a shock. Pricing is £22 for an adult, £6 for an under 18, not under 16.
Yeah, but you compare our prices to anywhere in Europe.
It's so expensive.
Yeah, I remember reading in an article that the Bayern Munich commercial director did by saying that they could up their match day prize tickets by like a £5 across the board,
and they don't want to.
And it would generate them an extra, I think he said like $4.5 to $5 million a season just out of the Bundesliga games, let alone in Europe. But they were like, but we don't want to. We don't want to price our fans, and the key word he used out that was community.
Yeah.
Out of going to games.
I mean, they only charge €300 for a season ticket.
Yeah.
Crawley charge more than that now for a season ticket. About 310, 320.
How much was Lewis for a season ticket?
Lewis, about £150.
And yeah, you were saying that Dorking as well had some strange.
So Dorking, which I think is really good, is £1,000, but you get a 5-year season ticket.
Yeah.
So you pay a one-off price.
Yeah, you're basically paying your commitment up front.
Yeah.
Instead of doing it annually.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's
because it's £200 a season.
Yeah.
So in actuality, you're talking about Crawley's being £150 for like a season ticket. You're talking 1,000 over 5. That's £200. That's still £200. It's still £200 a season for a season ticket.
But you look at that with Dorking, you could probably. But with Dorking though, it's the manager, the owner, the atmosphere.
You're paying that now, so you're committed at effectively £200 a season for 5 years. If they end up sliding back down the pyramid, you've effectively committed a very large chunk of money to see effectively worse quality of football. Because they have just been relegated. They've
been relegated, but I don't think they'll slide down anymore.
I'm not saying that is, but the pros and cons of it are, and would they then, if they were promoted to the Football League, for argument's sake, and you were 3 years into that 5-year season ticket commitment, would they come back to you and ask you for more money?
No, I think once you've paid, you've paid. I think they would keep the.
I would be concerned because the demand then would go like through the roof.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, I don't see Dorking. They're a good side. I don't see them making championship within the next 5 years.
Not in any way, shape, or form.
No.
I was talking about if they just promoted into the Football League. Then I'd question.
I think
question whether their ground would even make breaks at this point.
We wouldn't.
No.
I think they've made it to the Football League, and they said that it would piss off a lot of fans. Saying, well, we paid the £1,000. why are you now Arsenal small? Because you've got promoted to the Football League. I think a lot of fans are turning and going, no.
Mike, as much as it sounds like a great idea, I would be concerned from a Dorking financial point of view that they'd have all this money up front. And then, so say, for example, I don't know what their ground holds, call it 1,000. Right, we would say.
Yeah, I don't think it's much.
So if you had 500 people paid out up front, yeah, 500,000, whatever it is. So you've got a boatload of money inside of 1 year.
Yeah.
That money doesn't then return.
No, of course it doesn't.
Over the next number of seasons. And the way that a lot of those football clubs work their finances out is their season ticket income is guaranteed income every year.
Yeah.
All Dorking have done with this model is effectively they've taken this money that you would get over 5 years for 5 renewal commitments.
Yeah.
Into one large commitment and then no follow-up.
Yeah.
So your bank balance is really healthy for one season.
Yeah, and then you've got
then you've got nothing coming
which
in
is...
because you've also then, if 500 people have committed this money, you've then not got the turnstile income.
Yeah.
So
I get what you mean. They're doing their self out of money by doing
they are.
by doing the 5 year season ticket.
They've taken a large punt by having all of this money up front.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I've been to the Dorking ground.
I know there's a great picture of you on a bunch of amateurs standing there looking while they're interviewing.
I went it twice.
While they're interviewing the manager, and you're just stood there as the only person in the grounds on your phone, looking very bored and very serious.
I was the only person that end because I wanted to be closer to the dugout because of Mark White. But there were other people, they just didn't show the other side.
The ground was pretty empty, mate.
It was empty.
You do have a habit, though, of being in a ground like 2 hours before kickoff.
Yeah, I don't... One,
I've never understood why, because you're just looking at an empty football stadium.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why I do it. It's just something I've always done. If I'm going somewhere, I like to be there and be there on time.
Yeah, I get that. But there's a difference between being there and being sat inside of an empty stadium for 2 hours before the game kicks off.
But sometimes with non-league, you do that. You get the chance to meet the players and the managers and that sort of thing. So with what I do, that sort of works quite well. Because if there is a chance to meet the players and have a quick chat with them and get a minute video or 50 seconds or 30 seconds and go, well, this is going to go like this today and this, and I'm like, right, okay, cool. So I've got, if I can, 5 or 6, and I've got the manager in there as well, then I'm sort of like, oh, happy days. I've got content for the video that I'm doing that day. But yes, I do get there early, which no one ever figures out why I do it. It
can make a long day seem very, very long.
Yeah, it's just programmed in me to do it. If I'm going somewhere, I'll go and get there. Like there was this one time I went to Eastbourne last season, and I said to Mike, I said, could you just look up how far Eastbourne is from the train station to their ground?
I'm going to go that way.
And so he looks up for me and, oh mate, it's only like a 15-minute walk. I was like, okay, cool, I'll have a look. An hour and 15. And I was like, how is this a 15-minute walk, Mike? He went, no, I've looked at Eastbourne town.
Yeah, there's 2.
Not Eastbourne.
Eastbourne Borough, isn't it? Eastbourne town.
I was like, oh, okay. I'll get a taxi to the ground then.
Yeah, my fault.
£15 later.
Sorry.
So yeah, but don't walk around Eastbourne on your own after. It's scary. Scary. And I've been to a lot of towns and it's scary. I don't like it. I think I saw more crackheads in Eastbourne town than you do in Brighton.
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, we're going to be in different points of London across the first weekend of the championship season. So you might be able to beat that record.
Yeah, QPR 12:30. So that's going to be a really early start.
Yeah, that is going to be very early.
That's going to be like 8 o'clock.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
Especially if you like to get to a ground 2 hours before.
Well, no, only because you have to get 2 different trains to QPR.
Oh, no, I looked it up. It's gonna be, but I'm saying with your protections for being at the ground 2 hours.
So if we leave at 7,
yeah, we might just sit your timeline.
Yeah, sit the timeline right. Get some food before. Yeah, we'll be there. Should be there at 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
I think it's fair enough. Yeah, can't get until 10:30, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the opening weekend of the season, though, not necessarily a bad thing being there at least a bit early, taking all the kind of the atmosphere and the optimism and
exactly
stuff like that.
But yes. So we know where we're going first 2 games, which is QPR and Leyton Orient. So that's going to be entertaining. But
I'm still praying I don't get lynched in Orient saying they're going down.
I'll get you a t-shirt.
Yeah.
But I think for this week we leave it there.
It's all right. If you get me a t-shirt, we'll just show off your Gareth Southgate tattoo.
Maybe if we win it, then it's going to be all right, isn't it?
Yeah. You'll still be regretting it afterwards.
Yeah, I know. I'll be regretting it while I've been having it done. But it's not going to happen because Spain are going to win. I'm going to be a Viva España. I don't actually know right now what made me happy. Bring the winning and knowing the fact that Lee'll have to get Gareth Southgate tagged on time. Me getting a tattoo, anything to do with me pain or something.
This is true.
Me losing a bet.
Yes, this is true.
Don't bet against me. But yes, we're going to leave it there, guys, for this week. You've got a nice 50-minute podcast to watch for anyone that didn't come in live. We will be back next week. Are you doing it with me or on my own?
No,
no, my man, because you're not about, are you?
It might be. No, work schedule. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It might be difficult because I think I'm working.
And then going to a party.
No, that's the weekend after. But if England make the final, it might be difficult to get.
Oh, final next week, yeah. So it will probably just be me.
It will probably, because getting here, home, back for the final might prove slightly challenging. Unless we record it on the Monday, day after. Yeah, could do. Still weekly then. Yeah, but the Sunday the 21st you're on your own. So that's what we're working on. Yeah, that's fine. That will be brought to you after I've been to the Lewis MK Dons game. Yes. But yes, guys, we're going to leave it there. Thank you again for everyone that watches, from the first one that got 3,000 views to the second one that is at the moment on 80. So it's still climbing. It's only been up a few days. It's only been up a few days. So 80 already. So anyone who's watched, keep watching. And as always, we are going to be the best football league podcast brought to you weekly. But until then, it's goodbye from me. Goodbye from me. And we'll see you next week. So thank you and goodbye.